Hi, this design talk is dedicated to a very sensible subject, which is design and styling. There is a big difference between what is design and what is styling. We already discussed this subject a couple of years ago in another video, but today I want to talk about this again for a simple reason. My friend Fabio Filippini, who is an incredible experienced car designer, someone that really knows what it means to make a good design because of the experience, but also because of his talent. He made an article that was published on formtrends.com. I think you all know formtrends.com, very famous website dedicated to car design and designers and design students. If you don't know, you should go and check it out, formtrends.com. And the main subject of this article was the sadness of looking around, especially on social networks, a lot of projects or car sketches or car projects, models, whether they are made by professional designers, young designers, design students, and design studios. A lot of those lately, in the latest, I would say 5-10 years, they became, they look more like caricature, to use one of Fabio's words. And therefore, it is very sad to see that car design, it's taking a particular type of direction. Now you have to understand that, of course, we started almost 40 years ago. And today's generation does not have the same vision of the same world of 40 years ago. There is a technology, trends, people, social behaviors, everything has changed. But there is one thing that did not change, is that when you make a design project, whether it's a product or a car, you should always start from the basics. Because starting from the basics, it's the best way to make sure that all the right ingredients will be injected into that project. And when we talk about design, we are talking about proportions, we are talking about architecture, we are talking about the technology we will use, we're talking about functionality, realism, cost. If we have to be serious about design, those are all the key factors that, or hard points that we have to respect. And thanks to our creativity, our talent, we should dress all those, put them all together into a single project, thanks to the design creativity and the design synthesis, okay? So, car designers that start by sketching, considering some of those aspects, are those that will probably be closer to a very good qualitative results. Those that are just driven by passion or by the artistic talent or just by the will of doing something that is really cool, as very often we see and read on comments on social networks, sometimes run very strong risk to make, yes, a very nice sketch, very nice color stuff, or very nice model. But when you look at that model, especially for us that have some years of experience on our shoulders, you see, you understand that it's not really a vehicle, and it's not really a good car design expression. It's more cartoony, it's more a caricature. And This opens all new topic because we could say that because everything changes, also the design codes of an automobile can change. And therefore, if to make a car modern, we must have huge wheels, then we must have huge wheels on every car. And if we must have a simple display in front of a steering wheel because technology says that that's modern, well, we must have that display no matter what. If we are saying that the trends today is to make an SUV, and therefore to make the best SUV and the most astonishing one, we have to make it big and even exaggerating its proportions. We have to exaggerate those proportions. Sometimes we get into that type of consideration, of that type of credo or philosophy. And sometimes in design studios, you have design managers and design directors that will push for that. You have also lots of young, of the new generation design managers that fall in love very easily with beautiful sketches, and sometimes only because those sketches are artistically really well done. I mean, they're a really piece of art. But when you go and you analyze the proportions and the design codes of those sketches, you can see that they are not for that specific project, but they are chosen anyway. This type of approach can be positive because we know that if you search for some sketches, for some ideas that can provoke a breakthrough, that's cool, that's interesting, because it gives the creativity an opportunity, a great opportunity to be expressed. But if you choose those only based on the artistic point of view, then you're probably creating a problem. Because what happens is that the team that will develop that idea, when they have to put that idea on the real package, on the real proportions, with the real wheel size, with the real technology available for the cost of that product, etc., that all that will transform that idea into something else. And what we will have at the end, probably not much of the original idea. And it's not because the managers or the senior designers that will take that project until production don't know how to do their job. No, the problem is at the beginning, because the idea that was chosen was not really the best adapted idea for that specific design project. And I know that what I'm saying, a lot of people will probably are thinking that I'm wrong. And it's okay. But the truth is that cars are made mainly by good proportions. That's the first thing. When you have the good proportions of your car, then you can put and design everything else until the very single little detail. But first of all, you have to start from the good proportions. So maybe for a small car, we don't need 18 inches wheels. Maybe for a small car, we don't need that car looks like an SUV, that it's ready to go and make a race, I don't know where. For that small car, maybe we need to be more concentrated on functionality and ergonomy and human factors to make sure that if an older person will drive that car, it will be easy for him or for her to use and drive that car. That will be very intuitive, very simple to use. Therefore, if we stick to this type of thinking, we have to design the dashboard, the commands, the display and the graphics on that display in a way that is adapted to that particular type or category of clients. So I think that what Fabio was trying to say in his way of expressing this uncomfortable feeling, I think was mainly to say that today we are probably running too fast in saying that people are designers, when probably not all those people are really designers. This is also a problem that is created by design schools. When design schools don't make a very strict selection, then we have a lot of people that might have some talent. I don't want to say, I'm not discussing the talent, but probably they don't have the talent to be car designers. And that's the first point. And when those people get to the job world because they went through school, they will still have those problems of not being really car designers, even if they know how to sketch. Or because to be a car designer, to be a product designer, you must have not just the artistic talent of sketching almost anything, but you must have something that is only in your DNA, okay, it's very natural, that inner talent of conceiving objects, thinking of problem solving, using your creativity, so that your design approach makes the difference. And this is not very common. So there are some excellent designers, you give them a project and they will do the thing just right. And then there are others, especially of this young generation coming in since few years, where they struggle mainly when they have to move from their sketches, so 2D work, to the real three-dimensional work, in which there are all the hard points that we must respect. If you want to make a car that has to go in production, you have to respect it. You cannot be there and saying, I don't care, you have to do it. It doesn't work that way. So if they struggle, it's because they are in love with their main idea and they are not able to make abstraction of that and move on the project with their talent to overcome those initial problems and step by step learn and adapt themselves with the difficulties that will increase during the project. If they don't have that ability, it's simply because they are stuck into the first part of their job. And I'm sorry, those are more artists than designers. So when Fabio says that I see a lot of cartoon sketches around or caricature projects that are sold like real projects, and for me they are not car design projects, or they do not have a quality car design definition, I have to agree with him. It's true. Let me tell you, as you know, I put my videos on Facebook in all those pages that are related to car sketching, sketch your car, amateur sketching, I want to be a car designer sketching, all those pages, okay? And there are a lot of people now that really want to be car designers. It looks like, compared to my time, it's an explosion of people that want to be car designers. And I see, and I go and read the comments to any sketch that is, not all the sketches, but quite few sketches that are published by some of you. And I see that people encourage a lot, and sometimes I gave some really, I don't want to say bad comments, but really cruel, realistic comments to some of those sketches to point out all the problems that those sketches had, even if in the complex the sketch was not that bad. And of course, there was somebody saying that I was exaggerating, that I was too hard in expressing myself that way, because the people are young and they have to learn. But to be honest, I don't agree. I already wrote it in the comment, I explained why. But I explain again why. I don't agree because I think that not everybody can be car designers. Not everybody can be product designers, even if they know the basic of sketching. Even if they know how to be excellent painters, artists. Even if they know how to be an excellent illustrators. I see many illustrators but very few designers, potential designers. You have to understand that when you master an illustration technique, which I also try to teach you, okay, giving you all the examples of what I know, at least for my little thing, okay, this does not make of you a designer. It makes of you a potential illustrator if you do it well. An illustration is just an illustration. You know, I can give you this. This is just an illustration. Any illustrator, any student of an art school can do this much better than what I did. Okay? But when you sketch a car, when you choose the perspective angle, when you choose the tire size, when you choose some character lines, when you decide how big has to be the door, or the cut lines, how the cut lines go on a car, what type of cabin you want for that lower body. When you choose all those things and you sketch those things, okay, those items, you better do it following the right proportions to make sure that it doesn't look bad, that it does look not appropriate, that it does not look off place. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people sketching, putting a mix of lots of elements, choosing a very nice fisheye perspective to make it very dynamic, saying, what do you think about my design? And when I see this, I say, come on guys, be a little bit humble. That's not a design. That's just a sketch attempt. It's just a try for me. And it's not even well done. So what I want to say, taking advantage of this article that has been published on Form Trend, I think that we should all be very demanding with ourselves. Being demanding with ourselves, it's probably the best way to take that minute, to breathe, look at our sketch, and criticize our sketch. And most of all, correct our sketch. We cannot just throw anything it comes to our mind via our hand on paper and then publish and say, hey, look, I have a design. This is my design. So today it looks like car design is taking, a different road, a different direction that shows that there is no tie, no link, almost, I would say, no link with the good masterpiece of the past. Now, I know that we don't want to redo the past. It's not the objective. But we learn from the past. So when you go and see all the volume of a cheese taglia from Pininfarina, when you go and see all the projects of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, when you see how proportion has been played, managed by those designers, or it's enough sometimes to go and check also school projects done 20 years ago. You will find that those projects have a lot of content, a lot of content. So what is the content today of those design schools projects? The first thing I have in my mind is that the majority of all projects I see, they are heavy restyling, all things that we already do. In car companies, we are thinking what will be after SUV trend. Normal. But in design schools, we see a lot of SUVs project. So this is just a little example to show you that we are all already trying to see after that. And design schools are just relying on some safe, it's like making a safe bet. I know that if I do an SUV project, it will be fine, it will be perfect. I know that if my portfolio will have that project or those kind of projects, when I will do my interview, they're gonna like it. So the question is, what is in that portfolio really coming from yourself, what difference would you like to make? So if I go and check portfolios of 30 years ago, there was a big variety of projects. And already 30 years ago, we were doing EV cars, electrical stuff, strange vehicles that today are becoming reality. The thing is that probably the school, but also the students that are following those courses, are not everybody inclined to do such type of work, which is kind of heavy. It's not simple. So there must be done something, and this is a wish, that makes sure that everything you produce and you publish, okay? And when I say publish, means your portfolio if you are ready for a job interview, or social networks because you want to show yourself, okay? Everything should be very well thought out, even a single simple sketch. You have to ask yourself, am I doing a restyling, or am I doing something that is opening, giving new ideas, whether it's to the proportion of the architecture or I don't know what. So I think that we have to be very careful, because when we think that we sketch really well, might make the mistake that we sketch well, therefore we are designers. No, it's not like that. Sketching well, it's one of the most important conditions to make sure that the designer can express his or her own ideas. But the main part is how we use our talent, how we push our talent, how we exercise our talent, also via sketching, okay, or illustrating, or using our skills, to exercise the designer job, the designer responsibility. And designer responsibility is not just a very good looking sketch. It's a lot more. As I said before, there are things that we must know. We have to know a little bit of the past masters of car design. Understand why a man like Giorgetto Giugiaro still today it's called the maestro, the master. Go and check what he was doing when he was 30 years old, 25. Go and check what Zagato used to do. Go and check what Bertone Studio Design was doing with Gandini and all the others. Go and check what Michelotti used to do. Go and check what the great designers, the 50s designers from America used to do. Go and check how they put their skills to the service of their creative designer's talent. Because that's the marriage that should be done. It's difficult, I know. Because sometimes it's difficult also for me. So I understand. But if you don't go through that, the big risk you have is that you will be just a good illustrator, but not a good designer. Or maybe you will become a mediocre designer. And then there is also another thing. The new technology that we have today, like Photoshop, computer-aided design, the alias modeling, this is also a part of the problem. Because it makes lots of shortcuts that are not helping you in developing your skills. But I'll give you an example. At my time, we did not have Photoshop yet in school. So to make the sketches for a project or color sketches, we had to use all the media, traditional media. What today it's called old Viscom, okay? So chalk, baby powder, spray fix, all that stuff that it's even toxic. Okay, but it took us a lot of time, sometimes, to make a single nice well thought out sketch in color. It took us what, 2 hours? If you are really good, you could make it in 1 hour. But basically 2 hours to make one. Well, today with Photoshop, what do? You do 20 minutes, 1 hour, with music, you know. We used to make 50 of those to exercise. And every time we had the opportunity to change the design, to change a section, to change a detail, to change the proportion between the greenhouse and the body of the car. And we could experiment and then again with colors because we want to, to compare, to make sure that we are doing the right thing, that we are improving. We were improving our proposal. So I don't know how much you do of this today. I'm not teacher anymore, so I cannot see. But what I see is that everybody have more or less the same technique. You can see a Photoshop from a student, as you see a Photoshop from another student, they look the same. Where is your personal touch? Personal touch. As I said before, where is your inner part of you, through your work? So today it's a little bit like there is a sort of massification, the mass is doing that way and we all doing that way. And that's not nice. Because when we are looking for somebody to hire, we are not looking for that. We are looking for who stands out of that mass of people, out of the crowd. It's obvious. Because we are looking for skills, personality, designer quality, capacity in working for a team. We are looking all those, and of course, all those are tied together by the culture, the education, and the personality and the will that the person has. So you have to make that extra effort, and if you are not able to make it, you have to realize that your way will be probably longer in learning really what it means to do a car design or a product design, and all the responsibility involved in doing that. So, I think that you should probably work more, concentrated more in what you sketch, you retrace, you improve, and what is your perception of techniques, medias, and how you can transform them into what is your personal expression. Okay, using the same media, but your interpretation. And most of all, when you do the sketch, you have to be concentrated into the design codes to respect, according to your creativity. Which is the objective of that project? How much expensive or what's the cost of that project? Is it wise to make a small car that looks and costs like a Rolls Royce? Or is it better to find a new way using different technology to make a small car that has really the right price so that all people can buy it? And if it's for all people, what type of ergonomy or human factors we should apply to that car? If it's for poor people, is it normal to put super big wheels on that car that should be cheap? Or it's better to put smaller wheels, therefore change all the proportion of the car? So design is a lot of questions and lots of answers to those questions. That's the problem solving. It comes from research. We answer to research. We answer to briefings, project brief. And we have to be the most honest possible in giving the right answers to nail down the real objectives of that specific project. And to do that, you don't need just a simple, nice sketch, because it might look cool, but it might be wrong. You need all that thinking process that has to be inside of you. And that one will drive you to be responsible. to be a responsible designer. And therefore, when somebody tells you you have to design, I don't know, a family car, you will apply the right elements that are already in your head, and you will already understand more or less the strategy you have to adopt in order to create something that is very appropriate to that project brief, to that request. And not just make the sexiest family car you can make because you fall in love with that idea that the thing is so dynamic that I don't care. You have always, to jungle between a free creative expression that must be always well interpreted with all the hard points and the reality. Even if this reality does not exist yet, because if you are in school, of course you are thinking for something that is not existing. And that's okay. But still, when you do your final work, when you do your final model, when you do your final virtual model, and you turn that model, it has to look right. Because if someone like me, coming from the industry, that is looking for somebody to hire, let's suppose, okay, and I come and check your alias model or your Photoshop illustrations, and I see that the proportions are wrong, or that I have hard time to get out of that car because the door cuts you put are completely wrong, which are part of the design, because those door cuts are the graphics of your model. So you cannot say it's just a door cut. No. Everything is part of the whole project. Everything is a consequence of the proportion of that project. Everything is a consequence of the ergonomy and the architecture you choose to make for that project. Therefore, everything is connected. And if that's wrong, what can I think? That you did not use your head. Even if your illustrations are beautiful. So I would like to say that, just to complete, that for me, there is a risk of missing the real objective of being car design students or industrial design students. There is this risk. And this risk is given by the extremely simplicity in doing things sometimes. Also thanks to technology, to the media that we can use to sketch or to express ourselves. But at the same time, I think we should, in a responsible way, trying to be, I would say, more serious about the role, the job role that we would like to have, and that role responsibility within the society we live in. Because to be a designer is also about this. It is also a responsible role. Because whatever you do will be used by someone, will be paid by someone. And this someone must be satisfied at the end. Unless you did a bad job as a designer. So there is a certain type of responsibility. The artistic world is different. You can do beautiful art. I like it, you don't like it, it's okay. You pay for it, I won't pay for it. Or I pay for it, you won't pay for it. It's different. But design has to do with people. Design must be emotional. I'm the first one to say. If it's not emotional, it's almost no design. And I say it. The no design statement is when you have basically no design. And people just pass by, they don't care. Design is fundamental in the emotional thing. Why? Because it's opening the eyes, it's driving people to use that product or to use that car, and how they had to use it. That's perfect. It's one of design job, okay? One of design objectives. But it's not just that. It has to be cohesive in its fullness within the project. And to do that, Designers must be responsible enough to have that vision, that total vision of the whole project, to make sure that they control the different aspects, whether it's interior design, exterior design, or it's just an object in your hands, to make sure that in all cases the thing will be right. Okay? So, if you have time, go and read that article that was written on formtrends.com. I think it's a good thing for you. Check it out. And big hug to Fabio on my side. Thank you. Bye.